Hello and thank you for tuning to Anf Tv Evening News with me. I'm Abdulaki Maridia and here are the top stories we are tracking at this hour. Lagos government flags off African biggest food logistics park. Oro traditionalists murdered in clash with church members. Suspected internet fraudsters arrested in Abuja. ECOWAS Parliament Speaker advocates improved budgetary allocation to agriculture. Emmanuel Macron to mend Algeria ties in his visit as Europe energy crisis bites. Now the news in detail, and we start from the crime scene where the operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, have arrested 22 suspected internet fraudsters in Prince Anama's estate in the Life Camp area of Abuja. Their arrest followed actionable intelligence received by the Commission on their alleged internet fraud-related activities. Items recovered from them include several vehicles, several laptops, and mobile phones. They will be charged to court as soon as investigations are concluded. Internet fraud has been on a steady rise amongst Nigerian youths in recent years due to the huge rates of unemployment and financial instability in the country. The FCC has made several arrests over the years of people suspected of internet fraud, popularly known as Yahoo Boys. Still in Abuja, the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Issa Pantami, has disclosed that all 36 states of the Federation will be required to create a Ministry of Digital Economy. He made this known during a media meeting in Abuja following the first meeting of the Presidential Council on Digital Economy and E-Government, PCDEE. Our reporter, Timileyin Okunola, has more details.
No country digital economy can be implemented without bringing other key institutions of government and particularly subnationals, our states, that have a role to play.
According to Pantami, the National Digital Economy Plan must be smoothly executed, hence the federal government's instruction to all states of the Federation to create a Ministry of Digital Economy. Speaking at the event, Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State and a member of the PCDEE pledged to establish a Ministry of the Digital Economy as soon as he returned to his state, given the urgency of federal government's directive. He further proclaimed that the governors are in agreement with the order to create a Ministry of Digital Economy in their states. In the same vein, Governor Godwin Obaseki of Edo State, who is also a member of the council, expressed his delight that a body has been established to guide the states in carrying out the federal digital policy. The event was well attended by dignitaries from various cadres of government. Timileyin Okunola reporting for Anf Tv.
After a 3-day interactive session of the Nigerian Youth Collective Action, NYCA, participants, speakers, and delegates have reached a consensus on deepening social, political, and economic participation of young people through inclusion, mainstreaming, and creating opportunities for them in the 2023 presidential election. A communique issued at the end of the session, signed by the Director of Communications, Aliyu Muhammad Sani, said they recognize that Nigeria is a country with more than 80% of its population below the age of 60 years, and that youth possess a huge energy capable of delivering sustainable prosperity to the over 300 million Nigerians if well harnessed and rightly issued. The communique further revealed that in promoting the principles of the Not Too Young to Run law and the need to promote upward mobility of young people in all the spheres of leadership in our country, key decisions were taken at the session. The Northern youth condemned in strong terms the failure of some political parties to follow the demands of Nigerian youth for a generational shift in leadership and their subsequent selection of old candidates, some close to 80 years old, for the next presidential election. The group further asserted that one of the major things causing problems in this country today is because many old people are in charge of our national affairs who are not in tune with the current global governance practices, hence the need for a young generation of leaders to emerge at the 2023 elections. Now to Lagos, where the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has flagged off the construction of Africa's largest food logistics park in Ketu-Ereyin, Ekpe area of the state.
According to the governor, the project, Lagos State Food Security Systems and Central Logistics Hub, would be built on 1.2 million square meters of land and would have the following components: aggregation and storage facilities, administrative offices, trading, broking facilities, and packaging facilities. In addition to all this, the project will also have processing facilities, cold chain and dry goods services, logistics services, trailer park, water treatment plant, health center, fuel station, fire station, and an abattoir.
When it's completed, the hub will create wealth for almost 5 million people. It will feed close to 10 million Lagosians, and it will guarantee food supply.
The governor also added that the project would improve productivity, guarantee greater returns for farmers by cutting out several layers of middlemen. It will also facilitate improved access to modern processing and packaging services for farmers and generate useful data for the use of government agencies, private sector players, and multilateral agencies. Also asserting the benefits of the project, the State Commissioner for Agriculture, Abisola Olusoya, disclosed that the project's enormity and scope would change the economic landscape of Ekpe and Lagos as a whole.
Upon completion, the food security systems and central logistics hub will unleash the huge potential in both the midstream and downstream sectors of the agricultural and food sector. This project will further reaffirm the state as the preferred market destination for agricultural produce along the West African corridor.
She also described the project as the largest in Africa and announced that this would lead to an influx of services in sectors such as real estate sector, banking, logistics, hospitality sector, and many others. Timileyin Okunlola reporting for Anf Tv.
Still in Lagos, but on the sad note, the pastor of Truth and Spirit Prophetic Church, Mercy Okocha, and 9 of her members have been arrested over the death of a 25-year-old Uru worshipper, Agbola Akim, at Sani Taiwo Lawal Street, Okoba area of Lagos State. The suspects were arrested after Akim was allegedly attacked and killed during a clash between members of the church and traditional Uru traditionalists. It was deduced that trouble started when the Oro worshippers, who were performing their night festival, ordered members of the church, who were also holding a vigil, to end their service. Unfortunately, the order was fiercely resisted by members of the church, and the disagreement degenerated into pandemonium, which led to the stoning of Akim to death. In response to Akim's death, some youths in the community went amok, attempting to set the church ablaze. Confirming the incident, the spokesperson of Lagos State Police Command, SP Benjamin Hundeyin, said at about 6:30 a.m., the divisional police officer in Okoba Police Station received a distress call that the church was about to be set ablaze by some irate youth in the community. Based on the distress call, a team of police officers was mobilized to the scene. Hundeyin explained that on getting to the scene, it was discovered that a group of traditionalists was performing their Oro sacrament in the area, while the church members were having a vigil. The Oro worshippers instructed the church members to stop their service, and pandemonium ensued, resulting in the death of Agbola Akim. The corpse of the deceased has been evacuated to a public morgue for autopsy. The investigation is still in progress. The Speaker of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS Parliament, Dr. C.D. Tunis, has called for improved budgetary allocation to agriculture.
The Speaker made this call at the opening of the delocalized meeting of the Parliament's Joint Committee on Agriculture, Environment and Natural Resources, Infrastructure, Energy and Mines, Industry and Private Sector held in Bissau, capital of Guinea-Bissau. The theme for the meeting was a critical look at the ECOWAS environmental policy and climate strategy, as well as a biennial review of the agriculture production, food and nutritional security in member states. Dr. Tunis, who was represented by the second Deputy Speaker of the Parliament, Malam Sani Chaibu Bukari, asserted that the improved allocation will help address the challenges of food security presently being witnessed by citizens of the region.
Through its joint committee, it is important that they understand the dynamics of agriculture and to have an annual review of agricultural produce and also the issue of food security.
Dr. Tunis further stated that the meeting would deliberate on how to improve food security and enhance budgetary allocation to the sector. The Speaker of the Community Parliament, who said that terrorism in the region as well as the Russia-Ukraine war was negatively affecting the people of the region, urged participants at the meeting to come up with recommendations that will save the region.
Now to South Africa. Many South Africans took to the streets of Cape Town and Pretoria, among other cities, in protest against high cost of living in the country. The protest was led by the Congress of South African Trade Unions, COSATU, a long-time ally of the ruling African National Congress. The trade unions say the only way to make the government act against the unaffordable cost of living is to bring the economy to a halt.
Congress of South African Trade Unions, COSATU, a longtime ally of the ruling African National Congress, led hundreds of South Africans in protest in Pretoria and Cape Town against growing inflation that has soared to a 13-year high. Labor unrest often affects sectors such as mining during wage negotiations, but it is rare for COSATU, South Africa's biggest union, to lead a national protest. Union officials said more protesters were expected to join the marches as the day progressed.
We cannot continue with this particular high cost of living in our country, whether it's electricity, it's transport, it's food. These things must then be able to stop because our people are suffering.
Protesters holding placards saying "Stop taxing basic food items" marched through central Pretoria towards Union Buildings, which houses President Cyril Ramaphosa's office. In Cape Town, they marched towards Parliament. The protest, according to trade union, is the only way to make the government act against the unaffordable cost of living. South Africa's headline consumer inflation rose to an annual 7.8% in July. It is highest level since 2009. In order to stem the rising prices of commodities, the central bank delivered its biggest interest rate hike in 2 decades to try to curb inflation despite 4 previous hikes. Fuel prices were up 45.3% in June, their largest annual increase since the agency's Consumer Price Index series began in 2009.
Are forced to skip a meal a day.
People's Movement for the Liberation of Angola, MPLA, according to Angola's Electoral Commission, has registered a strong lead as officials continue to collate the results of Wednesday's presidential and parliamentary elections. The main battle for the presidential seat is between incumbents João Lourenço and Unitas Adalberto Costa Jr.
People's Movement for the Liberation of Angola, MPLA, according to Angola's Electoral Commission, has registered a strong lead as officials continue to collate the results of Wednesday's presidential and parliamentary elections. The main battle for the presidential seat is between incumbent João Lourenço and Unitas Adalberto Costa Jr.
We have just exercised our right to vote. It's fast and simple. We advise all eligible citizens to do the same. In the end, we will all win. Democracy wins and Angola wins.
My expectation is that the day goes normally, that it's tranquil, and that at the end of the day all votes are respected, all results are placed at the polling stations as the law says, and that Angola celebrates its choices.
There are 8 parties taking part, but the MPLA, the party in charge for more than 40 years, is facing its main challenge from UNITA. As after the poll officially closed, the Angolan Electoral Commission said with a third of ballots counted, the incumbent president, João Lourenço, has received more than 60% of votes. The rebel-turned-opposition movement, UNITA, has nearly 34%. The party has, however, called the provisional results unreliable. According to the law, the Electoral Commission has 15 days to declare the outcome. Previous elections in the country has not taken up to 2 weeks, as provided by the Angolan electoral law before the final results are announced. The MPLA, which has been in power since 1975, has been criticized for not tackling inflation, poverty and unemployment despite huge oil wealth. Timileyin Okunlola reporting for Anf Tv.
On a final note, French President Emmanuel Macron will arrive Algeria today in a renewed effort to restore relationship with the oil-rich country. France and many other European countries are battling with energy crisis, largely triggered by the decision of Moscow to reduce gas exports to those it described as hostile nations.
President Emmanuel Macron will arrive Algeria later today in a visit aimed at repairing the troubled relations with the North African country. Algeria's oil and gas reserves have new strategic significance because of Europe's looming energy crisis caused largely by Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the decision of Moscow to reduce gas export to those it described as hostile nations. Emmanuel Macron's visit is also coming after a long period of tension over conflicting memories of Algeria's bloody war of independence. Algeria recalled its ambassador to Paris over the issue last year. However, the two countries have decided to bury their differences and move on. According to the Élysée Palace, President Macron has made the choice to orientate this visit towards the future and lay down the basis for a relaunching of the relationship. The French leader is traveling with a 90-person delegation of ministers, business leaders, and sport personalities. Apart from the anticipated talks with the host, President Abdelmadjid Tebboune, and visits to memorials, Mr. Macron will also meet young entrepreneurs in the capital, Algiers. Later on Friday, Macron will travel to the western city of Oran, where he will visit a record store famous as a center for Algerian traditional rhyme music and watch a display of breakdancing. Macron's trip will be the French president's second to Algeria as head of state.
With that story of French president, we wrap up our evening news with me, Abdulakim Raidia. Join us tomorrow for other educative and impactful stories. And on behalf of all the crew at Anf TV, I say bye for now.